In regards to Mando as a character and how that fits into D&D, it's going to be important for us to think of him not as an individual person, but as a representative of the party as a whole. The only requirement really on the part of the players for this story to actually work is that they have a reason to be taking any form of mercenary job. Their race, class, personality don't really change the story all that much, so your players have total freedom to play who they want to at the table. You all have arrived at the snowy backwater town of insert name here in search of your quarry. Your employer informed you that the quarry would be in the local bar and to bring him in alive if possible, but dead if necessary. This quickly establishes the party's goals very quickly and gives them the ability to go and track down their target. Once they actually arrive at the bar, then we finally have time to have a nice early game fight. When you enter the ramshackle bar, the first thing you notice is a thuggish man holding your quarry at knife point, with two other brutes flanking him on either side. He turns once the door opens and looks at one of you. "You spilled my drink," he yells at you in Elvish. And thus, conflict is established. How the players choose to play this is up to them from this point. It is important in the context of everything we talk about that the players are able to divert the story into unexpected directions. You need to respect their actions more than the actual source narrative you take from, even more than your own planned story. The players are always going to remain priority one. The next part of the story can work with or without the bounty in possession easily, as no matter how the encounter goes, the players will still need to get back to their ship. And yes, they do have a ship, but not a space one. We'll get there. The players need to book passage on a wagon, or a rowboat, or a dog sled, and so on and so forth, back to the coastline where their ship is actually docked. The players, however, strapped for cash, can't really afford a nice wagon back to town, or instead have to settle for a broken down old wagon or other transport vehicle. After a short journey, the players finally see their ship. Players having their own ship, I feel, is a good thing even for early level characters to have access to because it allows players to have even more agency and ownership of the world. Have the players name the ship, describe how it looks, within reason, make them love this ship, even if it's not actually that good in reality. While the players are trying to leave port, they're going to see their method of previous transport destroyed by a creature from the water or ice or ground or wherever you've decided to place this town. Honestly, there's so many monsters that fit this build, you can honestly use about anything you want to as a DM as long as it's big and threatening. The monster could grapple onto the ship, preventing it from leaving port until they damage one part of it, causing it to let them go. Described as the players narrowly escape by the skin of their teeth, they're finally able to get into the open sea and gain speed towards their destination. While the players are on their ship, allow them to rest up, get some downtime activities going. This is a prime time for PC interactions. Encourage them to get to know each other, especially if this is a brand new campaign and brand new players. If the bounty's with them, then have the bounty start asking them questions. Have them probe. Make him ask what they're doing, why they're doing it, why they've taken the job, who they are, what they're like, etc. Use this bounty, if you can, in order to actually learn about your players. If the bounty is with them, have them keep asking questions. It makes the players think about who their characters are while simultaneously staying in the universe of the world without going into outside of game exposition. Once the players actually arrive, well rested, they need to meet with their patron. It's important to describe the variety of different races and people in the bar in order to sell this as a diverse world. These can be any race depending on the setting you chose, or if it's your own setting. Think about how well known or even infamous the group is in this region. Are they nobodies, or are they renowned mercs? Have the patrons of the bar react accordingly. This really helps the world feel lived in and like it goes on without the players even if they're not there. The main goals of the scene is to pay the players for the last job and give the players their next job. In this scene, you need to sell the idea that there is a fallen empire to tell the players that they can have half credit for Imperial Gold or can have full payment in Electrium. Electrium is kind of a useful thing in this context because it's a harder to spend currency that still can eventually be exchanged out for another type of currency. The players will also probably be strapped for cash at this particular moment, considering they just paid for passage as well as have just started the game. Have their patron offer a list of bounties, which, since we aren't confined to TV time schedules, we can actually do the side quests. You can go chase after those bail jumpers if you want to. They might not be as worth as much, though, to them monetarily, but it's still a fun little side adventure. However, you do want to entice the players to the main attraction by offering a larger payment for the secretive job. As you move the action back out into the local markets, try to describe what they look like as best you can, as well as some of the dishes available. You'd be very surprised how few simple local dishes can make the area feel very real and well thought out, even if you just scribble down 3 little dishes on a piece of paper that you saw on a cooking show somewhere. This is also a really good opportunity at this point in the story for players to stock up on supplies and weapons in town. Try to make the town feel slightly rough and tumble, or at least somewhat desperate, as there would be a large bounty hunter presence here. Once the players arrive at the location of a secretive hire, there needs to be a clear indication of their actual allegiance. This can be to do with the type of armor they have, their weapons, a sigil, or all of the above. If the players have no prior experience with this group, you can have one of them or all of them roll history checks to learn more about the history of the Empire. The only details that are important in this particular case are that it used to be very powerful and it has fallen to new power, and that only small holdouts actually remain. The DM's job in this scene is to sell the fact that this group has plans for the bounty, and they are not good ones for the bounty. This could be a wizard under the leader's command, hoping to use the bounty to create more powerful simulacrums of their leader, or using their abilities to create stronger soldiers. Another option is to have the remnant group hoping to harness the innate abilities of the bounty for their own benefits. So, the Imperial leader offers a very valuable and durable metal in exchange for hunting down his bounty. What material is this, you ask? Mithril. Mithril is a near-perfect substitute for Beskar, but you could also come up with your own material and its own properties if you want to homebrew it. The D&D edition of Mithril gives a very strong boon for heavy armor users that actually fits the Mandalorian character, in that it rids the player of disadvantage with heavy armor on stealth checks. However, it is also a very good material for plus arrows, plus spears, ship plating if that's available in that quantity, or other sorts of weapons. It's at your discretion whether material is actually magic in your setting. That varies so much by place to place that it's your call. Regardless, the most important aspect is that this material needs to have a tangible benefit to the players instead of just being a total MacGuffin. They need incentive for the actual reward. Furthermore, it is wise to create a significance outside of simple usefulness for the material, possibly tying it to one of the players' cultures. Value is value, but history is eternal. Keep the details of the bounty as low as possible. Give them a location to investigate and an environment that is difficult to traverse in some way. Keep the bounty and why he wants the bounty a complete mystery to the players as long as you can. Just as in The Mandalorian, you can offer a down payment that could be used to make one of these aforementioned items. This gives the players the opportunity to learn about the material. Then you need to introduce the smith that actually understands how to forge mithril. This could be an elf instructed in the magical forging processes of the past, or a dwarf that has strong cultural ties to the material, or anything else you can possibly come up with. There are no wrong answers to this. Regardless of what you choose for the smith, it's important for a later chapter that they be part of a larger group that would have some reason to help the players if push came to shove. That is if you're going to keep following this arc and your players haven't taken you way off the rails, but that's neither here nor there. After the players are stocked up on supplies and ready to head out on their bounty, there will be time for another rest along with more PC conversations. Depending on what the players know at this point, they can probably plan their form of attack. When the players arrive on their ship, this is a prime opportunity for another encounter and substitution of the blurgs from the show. You can use a similar creature to them, such as any rideable creature, such as a warg or a pegasus even. I find that these make very good choices because the players could eventually ride them and they wouldn't be as immediately inclined to just kill them. At this point, you should also introduce the Beastmaster, which is a person that has intimate knowledge of these animals similar to you or actually is a horse trainer. This entire encounter could honestly just be simply escaped horses that they have to wrangle out. If the monsters are more violent in their nature, the trainer could help step in and calm them down. Once the group is calmed or dealt with in other means, the mounts, have the trainer explain where the bounty is and what guards it, as he's a local and he understands where it is. As in the show, they will not know what the bounty actually is. Simply have him point the players in the right direction and move on. If the players ask him for help and have him enter the fray, that is absolutely fine as long as you are. However, if you are against this path, you can have the Beastmaster be against violence or simply be seeking peace out in the middle of nowhere. This is a pretty elegant solution to make it so that the PCs have to do their own job. The party will then most likely need the help of the beasts that they fought against earlier to traverse the actual region. Obviously, you want to make sure that the beasts are tailored to the environment that you chose before. If you have Pegasus, you may want some large cliffs that they have to fly over, or if you have wargs, it could be steep hills that you need to cover a long distance. Have the party make animal handling checks to see if they can actually ride these effectively as a group. If they fail, or if the beaks are otherwise unavailable, the journey should remain possible, but be much more difficult and most likely contain an appropriate encounter or two for the terrain you've already picked. The place the bounty is held can be any form of building or fortification that would be somewhat difficult to head-on assault. Once the players are within view, start describing the defenses and the guard or guards of this place. The guardian of the bounty could be even just a single creature, such as a dragon, or it could be a group of bandits, or any other sort of creature or group that would have reason to secure a fortification. Then, another mercenary will show up once you've established the situation. This can be at any time you wish, so long as they are on the same assignment as the players. They should be fairly brash and cause quite a stir early on. This will cause the defenses to go on lockdown and or cause the players to be more vigilant on defense. The players can deal with the other merc however they wish based off of how you created the merc. Are they a suave, daring tiefling, or a cold, calculating warforged? Once the players have concluded their conversation with the merc, whichever way that goes, the fortification will begin its attack. This should be a fairly large multi-phase fight, even if there's only one actual opponent. Have the bounty's location be clear to the players, but hard to get to in some way. This allows the players to not have to deal with the full encounter if they don't want to. Remember, the players have to keep agency in the story. Furthermore, as in the show, there should probably be a powerful stationary weapon present that both the PCs and enemies can use. This could be a ballistae, an organ gun, or a cannon, just so long as the players can't easily bring the device with them everywhere they go. However, I would honestly consider letting them mount it onto their ship with a large amount of work to transport it, but that's me personally. You may not want that. However they get inside, this is now the point where you reveal the true nature of the bounty. There are a few ways to go about this. There's a most straightforward route, which is having the bounty be a child of a mysterious or rare race with a long lifespan similar to an elf that the players now have in their possession, or you can have the bounty be a normal young precocious child. The main point of this, however, is that it needs to be someone or something that the players would want to protect to the end. The idea of killing this bounty should be a monstrous act. A few pieces of advice in regards to handling the child. First, and most important, do not make the child annoying. Don't. It wouldn't work. The child can cause issues for them, that's fine, but if the child simply is snobbish or annoying, the players will try to ditch the child as fast as possible. I know this from experience. Now, the players are left with choices at this point. Should they finish the job and get their money, or go the honorable route? Either way, it should make things very interesting for the next chapter, as they'll go back to the patron to collect their reward or exact justice. That is, if there's no other complications along the way. Hint, there definitely will be.